Hey fans, welcome back. This episode is House of Hall, a true crime story that was featured in the May 2023 edition of Southwoods magazine. Now this story was very difficult to research, mainly because it's set in the mid-1800s. Anyway, let's dive right in. So here we go. On Sunday, July 2nd, 1837, Jesse Hall Jr. was sitting inside his house and reading from his Bible. A bottle of rum sat at the table next to him. Calvin Fuller and Edward Cooley arrived at Jesse's house around 9 a.m., and Jesse invited them to have a drink. Now, drinking alcohol was frowned upon in certain circles, especially on Sunday, the Lord's Day. Anyway, about an hour of drinking had passed and Edward left. Jesse would later claim that he asked both men to leave, as he did not want to be known for keeping an ill house. Anyway, before Calvin left, the pair, at least according to Jesse, started conversing about Jesse's second wife, Lucy, whose whereabouts were unknown. According to Jesse, the topic of Lucy appeared to have started after Calvin mentioned that he was going to go to Granville in the morning. Jesse requested that Calvin stop at Noah Cooley's store to inform the clerk that Lucy had deserted him, and that he would not be paying any debt she may try to obtain on a store credit account. Now Lucy, she was tired of her husband's alcohol-fueled abuse. She had recently fled the Hall home, and Jesse, not expecting her to return, drew up a notice on June 30th to alert the community that Lucy had abandoned him without reason, and that no one should harbor or trust her on his account. Folks in Tolland who knew Jesse would later testify that he had been a man of good character. But in the same breath, they said when he was about 30 years old, he started drinking excessively, and he continued to do so for the past 12 to 14 years. And when Jesse drank, he sometimes became quarrelsome and saucy and would hurl insults. It turns out what really happened on Sunday was that Edward Cooley left after Jesse told him that he had a private matter to discuss with Calvin. After Edward left, Calvin, who was drunk at this point, attacked Lucy's character, more specifically her infidelity with him. Calvin's wife and 6 children started worrying when he failed to return home on Monday morning. With each passing hour, suspicion grew, and on Wednesday, locals began searching for Calvin, and even entertaining the notion that he may have met his fate by being murdered. Early Thursday morning, more than 100 people set out in search of Calvin. They centered their efforts around Jesse Hall's house, his last known whereabouts. On Friday, some searchers found Calvin's body, which floated to the surface of a pond not far from Jesse Hall's property. They fished Calvin's body out of the water and left it on the shore where it remained until an inquest the following morning. Calvin's severely mangled head substantiated the local townfolk's worst fear, for it confirmed without a doubt that he had met a very violent end. Calvin's body was still dressed in the same clothes he wore when he arrived at Jesse Hall's place: a cotton shirt, light-colored vest, blue wool pants with matching socks, suspenders, and boots. Calvin's clothes were badly torn, so bad in fact that he was almost naked on his backside. This led authorities to conclude that he was dragged along the ground for quite some distance. Authorities also noticed that Calvin's suspenders were hanging loose on his body, and that a piece of suspender had broken off. This led them to believe that the killer, or killers, may have attached a weight to the suspenders to sink Calvin's body. Upon closer inspection, Calvin's skull showed multiple fractures, with one side broken into many fragments driven into his brain. His left shoulder was bruised and swollen. The rest of Calvin's body had some sporadic bruising, but otherwise remained largely untouched. Authorities turned their attention to Jesse Hall Jr. Now, Jesse had joined in the search for Calvin. He offered assistance and showed great interest in locating the missing man as the townfolks combed the woods and fields around his property. However, Jesse kept making disparaging comments and contradictory statements, which were amplified when the searchers directed their attention to the pond near Jesse's property. He also got highly agitated at the prospect of them dragging the pond. As the searchers neared the pond, Jesse remained largely unnoticed as he sat perched on an incline on the west side of it. The spot provided the perfect vantage point where he could observe and hear everything happening, and when he knew Calvin's body would be found, he quietly fled, heading northbound. A manhunt was soon underway. Fearful that his vigilante pursuers would shoot him as he trekked through the woods, Jesse cut his throat, thinking that such a move would disappoint them. The self-inflicted 4-inch wound, however, turned out to be superficial, and Jesse, weak from losing about a quart of blood, made his way to a house and was eventually brought to a doctor's house. Authorities took him into custody there on Saturday, which was about 10 miles from his home in Tolland, in the adjacent town of Blandford. Jesse Hall's murder trial started in December, and he offered little to no defense. It was speculated that Jesse wanted to spare Calvin Fuller's widow the information he had surrounding her late husband's adultery and brutal demise. Jesse was found guilty and was sentenced to death by hanging. The execution was scheduled to take place at the Charlestown State Prison in Charlestown, Massachusetts on Valentine's Day, 1838. Facing the gallows, Jesse seemed unfazed. In an attempted last-minute reprieve, Jesse's lawyer visited him in prison to secure his signature on a petition to have his sentence commuted. When Jesse hesitated to sign the document, his lawyer became provoked and reminded him that he was facing certain death. Jesse reasoned that death was a better option, as a state prison was no place to live. Jesse's lawyer angrily responded that the prison was a great deal better than any place Jesse had ever lived in Tolland. Jesse signed the paperwork, and soon after his punishment was commuted to imprisonment for life at hard labor. Now, at the time of the case, legal scholars and others formed the opinion that had Jesse chosen not to spare Calvin Fuller's widow of the details of her husband's infidelity and demise, he more than likely would have been found guilty of manslaughter instead of first-degree murder, due to Calvin Fuller's provoking him. You can read House of Hall on the Southwick Time Machine at www.southwicktimemachine.com. The complete story is there, as are any edited out portions and author's additional research notes. If you like the story, hit the like button and share it with others. Also, please let me know what you think of the story by dropping a comment below. It's feedback from readers that keeps the time machine going. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, as new videos are dropping soon. Who knows where the Southwick Time Machine will take you next? Stay tuned for more historical curiosities as we continue our mission of preserving history through storytelling. Until next time, thank you for watching.